iFootage have just announced their first steps into the world of LED lighting with a huge batch of new products called the Anglerfish range. There's these three C.O.B lights with a balance mount on the front, there's a new little RGB light and a whole range of lighting modifiers. Plus there's actually more lights to come in the future. iFootage are clearly really committing to this, which is great to see. For this video though, I'm just going to concentrate on these three C.O.B lights, the 60DN, 220DN and 320DN. Now the technology behind these lights are the reason why iFootage is committing so heavily to so many lighting products. These are 5600 Kelvin daylight only lamps which use a newly designed LED chip which iFootage say dramatically reduces the intensity of blue light to more accurately simulate natural light and therefore improve colour accuracy. Now, I talk to a lot of lighting manufacturers and all of them repeatedly tell me how colour accurate their lights are. You know, we have very well performing LED lights now at every level of the industry. And so to be perfectly honest, when I first heard this from iFootage, a brand that is completely new to lighting, remember, you know, I did doubt it a bit. I struggled to see how they were going to stand out from the crowd. But then I actually got my hands on them. I got our Seconic C100 spectrometer and I actually tested them for myself. So let's start with something to compare them to first. This is a reading taken from one of our windows here in the office. So natural sunlight on an overcast UK day, but from inside. So basically as if we were using this window as a key light when filming. And as you can see, the spectrum is very even, no big spikes at any level. The extended CRI is very good as well, as you'd expect. You know, sunlight is a very accurate light. But let's now look at an industry standard high-end LED light and compare it. This is the Light Panels Gemini 1x1 Hard, an excellent light which has a great reputation for colour accuracy. As you can see here, it does very well in the spectrum, but it has this big blue spike. Now this is fine. Every single LED chip I've ever tested has had this spike. It doesn't stop it from being a very colour accurate light that produces excellent skin tones on your talent. But it of course isn't perfect, like natural light is. And if we look at the CRI, we can see the impact that this has. All of the colour chips are slightly down when compared to sunlight, but still very good, including the skin tones ones. But there's a big drop off in R12 or deep blue. So that's sunlight and an industry leading LED chip for reference. Let's now take a look at these iFootage lights. These are my readings for each of them. The small 60 watt on the left, 220 in the middle and 320 in the right. Now the first thing you notice is that that huge blue spike we saw on every single LED chip to date, it's gone. It's not as even as sunlight, but it's close. The red falls off still over 700 nanometers, but you know, that's infrared light by that point, so we can ignore that. After all, we can't even see those wavelengths with our own eyes. And if we look at the CRI chips again, we can see the effect that this has. Every single one of those three lights has a superb score here. I can pretty confidently say these are the best results I've ever got from any LED light I've ever tested over the years here at ProAV. Not a single colour on any of the lights scores under 96, and most of them are over 98. In fact, if we look back at the sunlight scores from my window, you could even say that the iFootage lights actually do better, which is something I certainly didn't think I would be saying in this video. The colour temperature is spot on as well. They're all really close to the claimed 5600 Kelvin, and of course they all score 99 TLCI and 98 extended CRI. So I know that's been a lot of looking at light meter readings, but you know, this is hugely impressive stuff. For any affordable light to achieve this would have been amazing from any brand, let alone a brand that is new to the lighting industry. iFootage have come along and done what Arri, Light Panels, Aperture, KinoFlow, you know, what any established manufacturer hasn't been able to do yet really. If colour accuracy is important to you in your work, well, I think you should really be looking at these. But that's enough light meter readings. Let's look at the actual design of the lights themselves. We have three here, a 60 watt, 220 watt and a 320 watt. each one obviously getting bigger as you go up the range, but apart from the 320 watt having a bigger head and a much more substantial yoke, the 320 and the 220 are pretty much identical in design. A very simple fixture with a 4-pin XLR cable in the back and a full-size Barons mount on the front, so you can use this with any Barons mount accessories out there as you'd expect. Plus, of course, iFootage have all their new ones. The control box is also very simple, nice and small, but there's no battery power. These are mains power only. The controls are fairly straightforward and simple, functional, but nothing to write home about. And they can be controlled over Bluetooth with an app from iFootage, which works very smoothly, but again is fairly functional. It doesn't stand out from the crowd particularly, but it's easy to use and it gets the job done. The little 60DN though has slightly more to talk about. It's a tiny, tiny little light with a mini Barons on the front, and they do give you this adapter so that you can fit regular Barons mount accessories on it as well, which is very useful. I like that it has a mount on this adapter so that if you're using a big heavy softbox you can mount it there rather than on the light. But the yoke on this mount though isn't quite as sturdy as I would like, considering it's only really going to be used when you're using big softboxes, so it might have to take some weight. So that's something I guess you should be a bit careful of. There's no separate control box on the 60, the controls are on the back of the light itself, and there's a regular power adapter for mains power. You can also power it over USB-C, but it needs a whopping 100 watts of power delivery to work properly, which is actually the maximum you can get over USB-C, so that's not actually that easy as it might first seem. They have, however, given us an optional battery solution here with this very interesting pistol grip. It's a V-lock plate, of course, to power from V-lock batteries, but it also lets you hold it handheld when you want to, which could be quite useful in some situations. If you just want it as a battery plate though, it has a lighting spigot mount that runs through the middle of it, so you can just slot it easily between your light and your stand. Nice and simple. Brightness is fairly impressive too, but I need to directly compare it to the competition with the same modifiers on both in order to say how they compare with other brands. But with the included reflectors, they score a very reasonable 11,000 lux at 1 meter on the small 60DN, 41,000 on the 220, and nearly 52,000 on the 320. Plus, the reflector doesn't look like it has too strong a hotspot in the middle, which is a trick some manufacturers use to inflate those brightness numbers a bit. A flat, even light from the reflector is much more useful in most situations. So, overall, these are a very impressive first step into the world of lighting for iFootage. The actual physical design of the lights themselves may be fairly ordinary, as you'd expect from any of the competition as well, but it's the actual output here that really sings. I have never seen color readings as good as this, and that is what makes these lights stand out from the rest of the lighting industry. I don't know how iFootage have done it, but based on what I'm seeing on my little light meter, these are something quite different, and that's pretty exciting. If you have any questions or tests you would like us to do on these, let me know down in the comment section and we might do some follow-up videos exploring the lights in more detail. But if you want to buy any of these for yourself, head over to proav.co.uk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.